Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a knitted bookmark just like this. I made this using just scrap pieces that I had left over. This one was a size 3 acrylic yarn, and we're going to do this, we're going to knit this, and we're going to do it in a stockinette stitch, which is basically a knitting all the way across, and then a purl, knit, purl, all the way up. So for this, you'll need a pair of knitting needles. I'm going to use a 4.5 approximately. Some yarn. This is a 4 weight acrylic yarn. You're going to need a crochet hook, and I went down a size. So this is a 3, and for the border I just did a single crochet all the way around, put some scallops on the top, did a chain and a little toggle at the end. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and with knitting you're probably going to need to block it. So I will show you how to do that at the end, but you will need some of this Stiffen Quick. I'm sure there's other brands out there. Some needles, I just used some quilting needles, and it's helpful to have a sort of a block, because you're going to want to block it and you're going to stick the needles in. So you need something where the needles can go through the fabric, and a board, and they won't go into a table. All right, once you have all that together, we can get started. Okay, so to make this knitted bookmark, take your knitting needles. You should have 2 knitting needles, and they are the ones that have the points at each end, as opposed to a crochet hook, which has usually, this is an ergonomic one, which makes it easier to hold, but there's just a little hook on the end of a crochet hook. So you want that long tail. Wrap the yarn around your thumb and your index finger, and you go up, pull up the loop there. Put the yarn that's around your index finger is going to want to loop over, and then you pull that through. So then you should have 2 loops on your hook, and you want to do that so you as many times until you get 10 stitches. We're going to cast on 10. So I have 3 right now. And you can see now the tail is much shorter. Make sure you leave a long enough tail, because if you're casting on and it gets too short here, you're going to have a hard time weaving the yarn around to create the cast on loops on your stitch, on your hook, and your needle actually. Okay, so once you have your stitches, all 10 of them, on your hook, you're going to turn your hook around so your yarn is on the right side. Okay, let's get your yarn is on the right side here. Let's see if I can zoom it in better. Okay. All right, so the first row we're going to knit across. And to do that, you want to put your hook on the left side of this first stitch and go behind. So now the needle in your left hand is going to be on top of the needle in your right hand. So you're going to go through like that, take the yarn and wrap it around the back, and then pull up a loop and pull that loop off your left-handed needle. And now you have one on your right needle. All right, so we're going to do that again. Sometimes those cast-on stitches are a little tight. Okay, wrap around, pull up a loop, do it again. You're going to do this all the way across for the first row. Around. And you can see the stitches are now going onto your right-handed needle, or the needle in your right hand, and the remaining stitches are still on your left needle. So keep going until you do all 10 of those stitches. And I always try to scoot my stitches down so I don't lose them. And then you can see this one kind of wants to pop off. So you kind of have to work with the yarn on the needles a bit. Okay, so now we have all 10 of our stitches on the needle in your right hand. Once you do that, you're going to turn your work. You can kind of fiddle with it there. Okay, so now round 2, and I don't know, it's a little hard to see here, but you can see the little bumps, which is what is created when you're knitting on the opposite side. So we want to continue to create these bumps on our wrong side. So if you look at this one, this is our right side, and it's kind of flat. It has those V stitches all along. The wrong side has these little bumps, and that's your purl side. So we're going to work on the purl stitch for row 2. And to do a purl stitch, you're going to do the opposite. So knitting was putting it in to the left of your stitches and going to the back. For purl, you're going to put your needle in from the right side, grab your yarn and go around that way, and then pull the loop off your needle, and now you've got it on that needle. Do the same thing all the way across. In from the right side, wrap it around, and then pull it, put that needle through and pull it off the left-handed needle. Around, and see when you go in the back you'll have, let's see if I can, it's hard to show from this angle, but you're basically, make sure the yarn stays in the front, you are basically twisting the yarn that you just looped over the right-handed needle, you want it to stay on your hook and to create a loop on this needle, and then you can pull off the stitch that was on your left-handed needle. Okay. And once you get more familiar with the knit and the purl stitch, this goes pretty quick, especially since we only have 10 stitches on our needles. All right. So you can kind of see here, you're getting the V's started on this, and this is our cast on first row, or cast on row. And then in the back, you've got those bumps forming. So you're going to continue with this every odd row. So rows 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, however many rows you decide to do, all of the odd rows are going to be knit, which means you put your hook in from the left side and to the back. Every even row is going to be a purl, which means you're going to put it in, you're going to put the needle in from the right side. And you just keep turning back and forth, continuing your rows as tall as you want to go. There's no set height. I'm going to work with this yarn here. It's a little scrap ball that I have, and I'll see how tall I can make my bookmark. This one that I did before is not super tall, but it's perfect size for a book. All right, and when I finish this, after 10 or so rows, I'll catch up with you. Okay, so I have done maybe 6, 7 rows, maybe 8 rows of this. And you can see now the pattern starting to form, and I love how the colors, it's almost striped, and it's a self-striping yarn, so you won't have, if you use this or a self-striping yarn, you get this nice effect without having all of these ends to tie in if you're just changing colors from solid yarn balls. Okay, and then the back, you've got the purl. This is the wrong side, and you can see with knitting it kind of curls. It curls up, it curls in, it almost wants to create this little sleeve, and that's common with knitting. So what I'm going to do is work a few more rows, just kind of line it up here. Yeah, I'm maybe halfway from where I want to be. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will meet you back here and we will talk about doing a single crochet edging, as well as the little chain and toggle, and blocking if you feel your finished project would look better blocked. And knitting does tend to need more blocking than crochet. So I will meet you back after a few more knit and purl rows. Okay, so I've worked quite a few more rows back and forth, knitting on one side, purling on the other, and you can see how this kind of, the stockinette stitch, which is this pattern, does tend to curl. So after you get a height that you like, you're going to want to end on a purl after doing a purl row, which is where I am. You can always tell you're on the purl side because it's that wrong side, at least for this project. The wrong side with these little bumps is going to be our back, and we want to, our last row of purl before we cast off. So you're always going to be casting off on a knit row. So here we go, last row for our purl, and then we will cast off and work on the edging. And the edging is optional. I like to do an edging or some sort of a border because I feel like it gives your work just that added little finishing touch. But borders are completely optional. It's just a little bookmark. So if you're just using this for yourself, and especially if you're not familiar with crochet or you don't have a crochet hook, once you block this without putting a border on, it should lay a little more flat and not want to curl up so much. Okay, now we are going to cast off. So to cast off, you want to be on your knit side. And you're going to put your hook in, and you're going to knit stitch the first 2 stitches. So now you have 2 stitches on your right hook. Zoom in a little better. 2 stitches on here, the rest are on your left needle. Now, to cast off, you want to put your left needle under this first stitch and pull it off of that needle, keeping the other stitch on. Okay, so now you've got 1, you pull that other one off, you've got 1 left. You always want to have 2 on your right needle when you're casting off. Pull that one up and over. Okay, let's do it again. You're always going to knit 1 onto your right needle. Have 2 left. Pick that first one up and pull it off. Here we go. Some of these stitches can be tight. Knitting tends to be tight, especially if your tension is tight. Okay. So keep going all the way along. Picking up, oops. Okay, picking up and casting off each stitch. Make sure you get it all. Sometimes if the yarn starts splitting, it's hard to it's hard to finish that stitch. Okay. Again, my cast off is somewhat tight. Working through this camera, it's hard to see. All right, one more. Oops. Let's do that one again. One more. And pull that loop off. Now you have 1 left. And you can see you cast it off. It looks kind of like chains right there running along the top. Now, if you don't want to do a border, you can cut your end and pull this up through that loop, and then you can weave your ends in. If you want to do the border, grab a crochet hook. I went down a size for the border just because I didn't want a bulky border. I wanted something just real simple. Alright, so I'm going to pull that up a little bit. I'm going to insert my hook into there, to that loop that I've created. Okay, to do the border, we are going to chain 1 right off the bat, and then what you're going to do is work a single crochet all along the very edge. So there's no rhyme or reason to this. You just want to put a single crochet in. Try to get it in every row just so it's even, but sometimes it's hard to see where those stitches are. So just evenly space single crochets all along the side. When you come to a corner, you want to do 3 single crochets in the same space. That way you're turning the corner and it doesn't look funky at the end. So I've chained 1. I'm going to go into that first little space, and I'm going to do that 2 more times. That's my chain 3, or 3 single crochets into the same space for the corner. Then just work down all the way wherever you can kind of find a little space. Sometimes it's hard to see if you're going into the one you've already worked in, if it's small. And make sure you're working in the edge. Sometimes the way it curls up, you'll think you're at the edge, but you're not, because it's curled in the back. So go ahead, work single crochets all along the edge. Do 3 single crochets in the same space at the corners. Oops. And I will see you back here. So go along single crochet along this side, along the bottom, and back up, and stop up here. And when we get up here, we're going to do some scallops, the chain toggle, and then I will show you how to block this so it turns out nice and flat. Alright, I am just coming up onto the last few single crochets. This is where I started. I went all the way down, 3 single crochets in the corner, about 10, tried to do 10 single crochets along the bottom, another 3 into the same space, I guess, to turn the corner. And here I'm working my way back up. So I'll just finish these last few single crochets. And I'm just trying to evenly space them all the way up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. And I'm going to do 3 single crochets in this corner just to turn it, and I want to join to the first stitch at the top just to kind of close off the round. Oops, let's try that again. Slip stitch. Some of those stitches are tight on the top there. Okay, and you can see it still kind of wants to curl, but once we block it, we can fix that. We can straighten it out. And I just love how it did those stripes. Okay, to do the scallops at the top, you're going to chain 3. you're going to skip 2 chains here. It's hard to see with this kind of cream color yarn. You're going to skip 2 and go into the 3rd. And what you want to do is single crochet into that one, chain 3, skip 2, single crochet into the next. See where I was? Okay. Like I said, it's hard to see with this cream. Of course, it ended on the cream color up here. Single crochet, chain 3, skip 2, single crochet. I think I'm going to try to put it over here. Doesn't really matter. Okay, whoops. Let's finish this one. All right. And then we're up here. I'm going to go ahead and just slip stitch into that last, into one of these corner chains here, just to even out, if I can get it through. Let's see, I don't know how I got it in there. Okay, so maybe we won't do that. Let me start this one over. Okay, chain 3, 2, 3. What I'm going to do actually is just do a single crochet into that space where I had started the border, the chain single crochet border. All right, there's the start of our scallops. You can see the 3 little chain spaces. You're going to chain 3. You're going to turn your work. Now we're working on the wrong side, you can tell because of the knit, the purl bumps here. Okay, now we want to do 6 half double crochets into each of these chain spaces. So you yarn over, put your hook through the chain space, bring up a loop, yarn over, and go pull back, go through all 3 of those loops. Yarn over, yarn over, through the loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull back all 3. So you want 6 half double crochets. This does not count your chain 3, 2, so just put 6 half double crochets into that space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one more. There we go. Now into this chain in between the chain spaces, just kind of stick your hook in there and do a single crochet. Then 6 half double into the next chain 3 spaces, yarn over. Once we get away from this cream, it'll be easier to see, I hope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Do the same thing. Find the space in between those chain spaces and single crochet, and then do another 6 half double crochets. Okay, and then you can slip stitch at the bottom somewhere just to kind of finish that off. Alright, so now you've got a little scalloped top there. If you want to add a little chain and a little toggle at the end of your bookmark, that's super simple. All you do is chain as many chains as you want for your length. Just keep going a little bit. Okay, I don't need it super long. And here we go, getting to the cream again. Alright, so I think that's a good length. So if you want to add the little toggle, you're going to go 10 half double crochets into the third stitch from the hook. So don't count this loop on your hook. You count the next one, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to do 10 half double crochets into that same chain. And when you finish with that, you can just slip stitch to join. It'll look like a little donut or a little circle. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll do one more. Okay, now find the top of one of these first half double crochets, and I'm just going to slip stitch right into that chain, and there we go, a little donut circle toggle. Fasten off. Cut your yarn, and there it is. Weave in your ends, and once you do that, I'll come back and I'll show you how to block this nicely. Okay, so once you've woven in all of your ends, you'll have something that looks a little bit like this. As you can see, it's still curly, so we want to flatten it out. There's a couple ways of going about blocking a knitting project or a crochet project. One, and probably the most common way, is to use a spray bottle. Get your project damp, and then tack it down, pin it down, and let it dry overnight. Now, because this is just a bookmark, I wanted to do something a little easier, hopefully a little quicker. So what I'm going to do is use the stiffening spray, and it's just a fabric stiffening spray. This one happens to be Aleene's, and I've used it before. I used it on this one, and it came out great. So I'm going to bring in my blocking board here, and what I want to do is lay my bookmark down flat. I'm going to take my quilting pins, and you can use any pins. I like the ones that have the little knobs or little balls at the end, just so I can see where they are. So when I go to pull them out, I make sure I get them all. So I'm going to start with the top, and then I'm going to pull it down just a bit and pin one in the bottom. Do one in the corners. And I didn't get this bookmark wet at all. It's still completely dry. Alright. And now for the important part. these ends. You want to make sure that you stretch out your fabric as much as you can, at least to the shape that you want it to be in its final stage. If you don't do that, you still might get some curving. There's some curving here. Could just be my tension when I was knitting, so I'm going to try and straighten that out as much as possible. Again, it's just a bookmark, so I'm not too concerned with how straight my edges are. Now, if this were a sweater or something, a blanket, something I was gifting, then I would take a little bit more time and effort to really make sure the edges came out well. Okay, and that's good. So now, oh, you know what? Probably should do this little guy. It's not a huge deal, but I'm just going to tack this little donut toggle at the end just because. I'm going to take my fabric stiffening spray and I'm just going to kind of give it a few quick sprays. And there we go. I'm going to let that sit for a couple hours. Then I'm going to unpin everything, turn it around, do the same thing on the other side, give it a couple sprays of this fabric stiffening spray, and wait another couple hours, and then I'll be back and we can see how it turned out. Okay, so I've let it sit for a couple hours and I did already flip it over. I'm going to take the pins out and we're going to see what we've got. I can feel it's already kind of stiff here, so that's good. All right. So you can see how it kind of still bulges out like that, but I'm okay with that because it's just a bookmark. All right, so we've got our bookmarks. It's a super easy project, great beginner knitting project. You're just working knit stitches and purl stitches on the alternate rows. So yeah, great gifts for teachers, friends, family. Makes up super quick. I love these because they're thin, and so if you're sending a holiday card, a Christmas card, you can make these in Halloween colors and send them, you know, in a Halloween card to somebody, and they just fit right in there. Doesn't take any super extra packaging. So yeah, quick, easy knitted bookmarks. Please be sure to like, subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thanks again for watching. Bye!